Lovis Corinth. B. Tapio, 1858, D. Zandvoort, 1925. Corinth was a versatile German painter and printmaker. He studied initially at the K6énigsberg Academy, but received most of his training in Paris, under William Bouguereau. His early taste was for a rugged naturalism, inspired by Courbet and Millet, as well as the Dutch Old Masters. There were also symbolist overtones in some of his lush, sensual versions of literary and religious subjects. Corinth's style did not reach full maturity until his move to Berlin where, together with Liebermann and Slevogt, he pioneered the German form of Impressionism. Corinth was prolific for the next decade, but in 1911 he suffered a career-threatening stroke. Gradually, he learned to paint again, though in a much looser manner that was admired by the Expressionists. See page 408. Lifeline. 1858, born in Tapio, East Prussia, now part of Russia. 1884–87, studies with Bouguereau in Patz. 1887–91, works in Königsberg. 1892 joins the Munich Secession. 1900, settles in Berlin. 1903, marries Charlotte Behrend, one of his students. 1911, suffers a major stroke. 1915, succeeds Max Liebermann as president of the Berlin Secession. 1925, dies of pneumonia in Zandvoort, Zeeland. Charlotte Corinth at her dressing table, light suffuses the entire scene in this portrait of Corinth's wife. 1911, oil on canvas, 120 x 90 cm, Kunsthal, Hamburg, Germany. Carl Hagebeck and his zoo. A pioneer of modern zoos, Hagebeck liked to pose with his animals, in this case, a walrus called Pallas. 1911, oil on canvas, 200 by 271 cm, Kunsthal, Hamburg, Germany. Philip Wilson Steer. B. Birkenhead, 1860, D. London, 1942. A leading pioneer of Impressionist painting in England, Steer had a conventional academic training in France, where his principal masters were Cabanel and Bouguereau. His own style, however, owed more to the influence of Whistler and Monet. On his return to England, Steer became one of the founding members of the New English Art Club, a private society that was dominated by artists who had worked in France and were aware of the latest trends. Steer also participated in a separate exhibition, the London Impressionists, which was staged in 1889. Steer's Impressionist period was comparatively brief, lasting from around 1887 to 1894. His finest pictures in this style were his beach scenes, which boasted the same sparkling colors and sheer exuberance as many of the canvases produced by his French counterparts. Lifeline. 1860, born in Birkenhead, Merseyside, the son of a portrait painter. 1882–84, studies in Paris, at the Académie Julian and the École des Beaux-Arts. 1886, founder member of the New English Art Club. 1889, takes part in London Impressionist exhibition. 1889, exhibits with Les Vingt in Brussels. 1893, begins teaching at the Slade School of Fine Art. 1927, as eyesight deteriorates, he switches to watercolors. 1931, awarded Order of Merit. 1942, dies of bronchitis at his London home. Hydrangeas. In a masterly demonstration of his skills as a colorist, Steer shows sunlight reflecting on pale fabrics. 1901, oil on canvas, 85 x 112 cm, Fitzwilliam Museum, Cambridge, UK. Children paddling, Walberswick. Steer produced his most overtly impressionist scenes on the Suffolk coast, at Walberswick, where he often stayed with friends. His technique of using short dabs of contrasting color helps to create an atmosphere of hazy sunshine. 1891–94, oil on canvas, 64 x 92 cm, Fitzwilliam Museum, Cambridge, UK. Closer look. Simplified figures. Steer effortlessly conveys this extremely foreshortened pose with just a few deft brush strokes. Reflections. Monet's influence is evident in the sparkling water surface, with its glints of sunlight and its shimmering reflections. William Merritt Chase. B. Williamsburg, Virginia, 1849, D. New York, 1916. This versatile American painter and teacher trained at the Royal Academy in Munich from 1872 to 1877. After several months in Venice, he returned to New York in 1878, and in 1880 became president of the Society of American Artists. He resigned from the society in 1902 to join the Ten, a breakaway group who considered the society's exhibitions to be too conservative. Known for his portraits, which highlighted his dashing bravura technique, his impressionist experiments are evident in his landscapes, the finest of which were produced at the Shinnecock Summer School, Long Island. Dorothy Chase painted several informal portraits of his daughter. His portrait style was heavily influenced by a fellow American John Singer Sargent, as well as the Belgian painter Alfred Stevens. 1902, oil on canvas, 183 by 91 centimeters, Indianapolis Museum of Art, Indiana, U.S. Joaquin Sorolila y Bastida. B. Valencia 1863, D. Cercedilla, 1923. Sorolila was a prolific painter and illustrator, and the leading exponent of Impressionism in Spain. After studying in Madrid and Rome, he enjoyed a lengthy stay in Paris. Here he was chiefly influenced by the work of Bastien Lepage, who had made his name with a brand of Impressionism that was corrected, sweetened, and adapted to the taste of the crowd, and Sorolila soon followed this lead. Sorolila's brightly colored beach scenes were hugely popular. He won medals at the Paris Salon, and was also feted in the United States, where he won his greatest commission, a series of 14 enormous murals representing the provinces of Spain, to be installed in the Hispanic Society of America in New York. People Sitting on the Beach. Sorolila was known for his beach scenes of the Costa Blanca, in which he combined intense colors with vigorous brushwork. 1906, Oil on Board, 16 by 22 centimeters, Leeds Museums and Galleries, UK. Tom Roberts. B. Dorchester, 1856, D. Callista, Australia, 1931. Roberts was born in England and trained at London's Royal Academy, 1881–84, but he spent most of his career in Australia. In 1885, he settled in Melbourne, where he became a founder member of the Heidelberg School. The group focused on the Australian bush, recording a way of life that was swiftly vanishing. The results were shown at their exhibition of impressions, 1892, where all the views were painted on identical cigar box lids. Roberts' iconic pictures of sheep shearers and farmers attracted little attention at the time, but have since been recognized as landmarks in the development of Australia's national identity. A breakaway. A drover chases runaway sheep in this evocative slice of Australian rural life. 1891, Oil on Canvas, 137 by 168 centimeters, Art Gallery of South Australia, Adelaide, Australia. Max Liebermann. B. Berlin, 1847, D. Berlin, 1935. A German painter and printmaker, Liebermann was the first president of the Berlin Secession, an alternative group to the formal Association of Berlin Artists. He trained at Weimar, but also made extended visits to Paris, where he met some of the Barbizon painters. He developed a robust, naturalistic style that was sometimes controversial. His Jesus in the Temple was criticized in the German parliament for being too Jewish. Liebermann's interest in Impressionism came to the fore in the 1890s, when he painted a series of outdoor scenes that demonstrated his skill at capturing light effects. He also built an important collection of Impressionist pictures, although this was dispersed after his death. The terrace at the restaurant Jacob in Nienstetten on the Elbe, sunlight filtering through leaves, was one of Liebermann's favorite themes. 1902, Oil on Canvas, 70 x 100 centimeters, Kunsthal, Hamburg, Germany. Childe Hassam. B. Dorchester, Massachusetts, 1859, D. East Hampton, New York, 1935. The American artist Childe Hassam developed an interest in Impressionism during a 3-year stay, from 1886, in Paris, where he enrolled at the Académie Julian. On his return to the U.S., he settled in New York. It was here that he produced his most memorable street scenes and later a series of flag paintings. Away from the city, Hassam also painted at Appledore, an island off the New Hampshire coast, where he often stayed with the poet Celia Thaxter. In 1897, Hassam became one of the founder members of the Ten, an influential group of American artists, who were instrumental in bringing Impressionism to the U.S. Rainstorm, Union Square. Hassam's urban scenes portray life in New York during the 1890s. He particularly loved to paint glistening, rain-soaked streets. 1890, Oil on Canvas, 90 by 111 centimeters, Museum of the City of New York, U.S. Closer look. The bigger picture, the lady turns her head away. Is she averting her gaze from the man by the fountain? In true Impressionist fashion, we only have a snapshot of this unspoken drama. In context. The Heidelberg School, named after a village near Melbourne, this group of artists pioneered in Australia the Impressionist practice of painting in the open air. Led by Tom Roberts, Sir Arthur Streeton, and Charles Conder, they worked together in camps at Box Hill and Eaglemont. Near Heidelberg. Sir Arthur Streeton, 1890. Streeton became famous for his scenes of the outback. The artists of the Heidelberg School produced the first realistic portrayals of the Australian landscape.